Hi. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the United Stand. Benjamin Sesko. Here we go. Actually, have we had the here we go? I might be lying there. We may be lying. We may not have the Sesko here we go. But we've got the Ornstein bomber. It is done. It is officially done. Manchester United reach agreement in principle with Leipzig for Sesko. 76.5 million euros plus 8.5 million euros in add-ons. As per David Ornstein, Sesko given permission to travel ahead of signing a 5-year contract for Val, key part of the deal. And look, if you were watching the show with Terry and Ben Jacobs, in the last hour, there was that super chat about a private jet from Leipzig to 4 p.m. Well, I tell you what, David Ornstein, Fabrizio Romano, Ben Jacobs, Bomber, Crackers, and here we go. Sit down, sit down, sit down. There's a new king in town, and it's whoever it was who realised that there's a bloody private jet at 4 p.m. today, because that is obviously going to be the plane that Sesko's on. Let's hope he's not on. Let's hope he's not like Mr. T. I ain't getting on no plane. You are bloody getting on a plane. You're going to Manchester. That's the old bloody point. But yeah, look, really, really good. You know, I think we've done so many of these over the years, and sometimes you're like, oh, it's here we go. But this feels like, but there are, you know, some of them like Mbeumo, here we go. You're sort of like, oh God, it's took 7 weeks. But I think this one is how it probably feels like for people like Liverpool fans and other clubs who do business quick, Chelsea. And it's great, isn't it? It's absolutely great to have that feeling of a transfer that's just happened so quick. It was only a week ago that we entered the race, and a week later we've got a here we go. And I'm not being a knobhead here, but thank you to Newcastle for your part in this. Without you, it wouldn't have happened this quick. I'm trying not to laugh, but it's true. It is true. You know, Newcastle fans are going to be losing it, and you know, that's sad for them. But if it wasn't for Newcastle being so verbally and publicly aggressive with their bids, then Man United would have slowed this process down like we always do. So look, it's a great deal for Manchester United, and we'll talk about Sesko in a moment, but isn't it great? I mean, I hope Sir Jim Radcliffe and Joel Glazer and Omar Barada and everybody else sort of switch on and realise that this is how you get fan bases excited. This is how you make the football club more, you know, efficient. Quick deals get everybody happy. And you know, after the long drawn out affair of Mbeumo and many others over the years, how quickly we've got this Sesko deal done has been fantastic. So get your comments in. I don't know whether we've actually got people saying, have we had a here we go, because your thumbnail says here we go. I feel like we better have a here we go. Yeah, we have got a here we go 16 minutes ago. There we go. Breaking Sesko to Manchester United. Here we go. Yeah, 64.5 million plus 8.5 million in add-ons. And just an interesting point on that as well. I always like to come back to this sort of stuff because I've been very calm about this. Relax. You know, relax is exactly what we've been doing. But there was a time at the start of the week when people were saying 90 million euro bid by Newcastle, we need to walk away. And we did a show saying it's not 90 million euros and you're acting like it's 90 million pounds. Newcastle offered 80 million euros plus 10 million euros in add-ons. So they were offering 80 million euros plus 90 plus 10. We've done 76.5. So we've got him cheaper than what Newcastle's offer was. But effectively, 76.5 million euros is 66.3 million pounds. So we're basically paying, give or take 1.5 million. We're basically paying what we paid for Mbeumo. And this is why you shouldn't react to the sensational nonsense of some United fans who were going, we need to walk away. He's not worth 90 million. We were never paying 90 million. Newcastle were never paying 90 million. We paid 66.5. And this is really important in the future because I've noticed many news outlets try and distort figures. If it's a Man United signing, you add the add-ons and you do it in euros to make it sound bigger. If it's a Liverpool signing, you don't add the add-ons and you do it in pounds to make it look smaller. £66.5 million is the price for Sesco. The reason I say this before we talk about Sesco is because I want every single one of you, wherever you are, New York, Delhi, Melbourne, Manchester, say it back to me. Ready, steady, go. £66.3 million is what we paid for Sesco. Keep it in there, keep hold of it, and use it as your weapon for the next 6 months. Because I'm telling you now, the mainstream, certain people in the media are going to be calling him an €85 million striker. They'll probably say 85 million striker. £66.3 million is what we paid for Sesco. There are add-ons, but it's £66.3 million. Hold on to that and remember that, because it's very, 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 very important. Now, let me talk to you about the player. First of all, I can only see 300 likes on this video. This is a Sesco signing. This is a striker signing. This is a priority signing. I want to see 10,000 likes. You can do it if you put your back into it. Make sure you smash a like and share the video. Let's see how many people we can get watching. So how do I feel about Sesco signing? Well, you're going to tell me how you feel. I want to ask the question of you this afternoon. Is this player going to be a success at Manchester United? Or are you concerned about this player? And we'll have that chat now. He is incredibly big. He has an incredible shot. He has incredible technique for a big player. This is a player that, as Ben Jacobs was saying, and it was all new to me, I know Favel wants him, but apparently Amrin really wants him as well. So this has to be considered a priority signing because it's a striker, but I believe it's a striker signing that the club are very happy with. Now, the naysayers may say, well, he's not option A, he's not option B. He probably technically is option D, really. But sometimes I certainly think if Delap was option A, nobody can sit here and say, well, we didn't get Delap. You know, we can't do that. We wanted Delap because Wilcox liked Delap and he was £30 million and United like a good deal. And yeah, I get all that. But I absolutely, Sesco's better than Delap. 100% Sesco's better than Delap. There's no way in a million years that Chelsea wouldn't like Sesco and Pedro instead of Pedro and Delap. So we've got a better player than Delap. And also, you deal with what you've got. I'm a firm believer that you have to move on. You know, it's like Bruno to Al Hilal. I know what I said at the time. I'd have done the deal. It hasn't been done. We move on. I would quite like to keep Rasmus as the backup striker. I think he'll probably move on. We move on with what this manager and this club decide to do, because I believe we do have a manager that we can get behind and trust. And the exciting thing for me is that probably, you know, certainly at the start of July, the first week in July, I'm looking at United and I'm looking at Liverpool and I'm looking at Arsenal and I'm going, this could get worse. This could get worse. We've just had our worst ever Premier League season. We've lost to Spurs in a final. Everyone else is miles ahead of us. They're buying better players. This season could be bad. And although I will always protect Amrin, when I'm reading some of you in the chat saying Amrin's gone by Christmas, they're not words I would utter anyway. But I was thinking, you know what? They might be onto something, because you can't defend this job if you can't win games. But where we are now, and Burmo's here, Cunha's a good signing, and we've got a striker, and you know what we're trying to do in the midfield and hopefully in the goalkeeping position as well. We've had a good pre-season. There is a togetherness. We've removed the toxic elements of the squad in the main. And there's a real buzz around the team at the moment. And I think that this is why it's really important to back your manager, because Ruben Amorim can sit there tonight going, I've got Mbeumo, I've got Cunha, and I've got Sesco. And it doesn't matter who you are. If I walked into Chelsea's boardroom in the middle of May and said, I'm going to get you Cunha, Mbeumo, and Sesco, I think they'd go, thanks. If I walked into Arsenal's boardroom and said, I'm going to get you Cunha, Sesco, and Mbeumo, I think they'd go, Yeah, thanks. So I genuinely think we've got three really good signings here. It doesn't mean they're going to be legends of Manchester United. It doesn't mean they're going to be successes. They could flop. But I think we've delivered three good signings. And I think Ruben Amorim probably came back privately quite concerned. That first week or two was probably thinking, okay, this preseason is really important. Where are the players? And there is still an adjustment period because some of these players aren't actually here yet. But I believe that we need to score more goals. I believe we need to be easier on the eye. And I believe in the three players that we've brought in, we have absolutely serviced that priority. And that's why with Sesco, and I've spoken about Sesco individually, I've spoken about what he can do. I've compared him to the likes of Ekatike and Gyökeres and Isak, some of the big names that are involved in transfers this summer. And he stands up to scrutiny. He is not as prolific as Gyökeres and Isak, but he is certainly more than Ekatike or, some of the other strikers that have been bought. I think he nestles into that area perfectly, where I think he's better than some of the strikers we were looking at, Watkins and Delap. But I don't think he's as good yet as who did I say? Watkins and Delap. Yeah, he's better than them, but I don't think he's quite there with Osman and Gyökeres yet. And that's what we've got. And as Manchester United sit here, right now, we probably had very little right to get Gyökeres or Osman based on not being in the Champions League and what we achieved last year. And I think Sesko probably is the pinnacle of what we can do at the moment. And I also think it fits us like a glove at the moment. I want to have the world's best players at Manchester United. I really do. But we do live in a very different football world now where the competitiveness has gone up to a level I've never seen in my life. As I've said, Liverpool win the league and then go and have the best transfer window in their Premier League history. It's incredible how competitive it is. And I guarantee you that when Sir Jim Ratcliffe got into the club with Ineos, he probably was looking at it with David Brailsford and going, marginal gains will gradually get better. And maybe you could do that 5 years ago. But I think now it's aggression. It's ruthless aggression. And how many years is it since I've mentioned that? Only the old watchers will know that I've always said that you've got to be ruthless and aggressive in the transfer window. Just two words. We've used it on the United stand for years. You've got to be ruthless and aggressive. You've got to be ruthless to remove the bad elements, and you've got to be aggressive to go and get the best things. And I think United have done that. I mean, it's not at the level I would want it to be yet, but it's certainly streets ahead of where it ever has been. We've been ruthless with Rashford and Garnacho and Sancho and Anthony, and we've been aggressive in what we've tried to do. And I think that, when you look at Sesco specifically, because it is Sesco, here we go, deal done, bomber. When you look at Sesco and you look at Cunha and you look at Mbeumo, it certainly isn't Wirtz and Gyökeres and, I don't know, trying to think of a really, Bellingham. It's Wolves' best player, it's Brentford's best player, and it's RB Leipzig's best player. And that's sort of where we are at the moment, because we need to bring players in of a certain caliber, and those fit us perfectly right now. I think if we just won the league, you might be going, we need a little bit better than that. But when you finish 15th and you're trying to get back into the top 5, I think we've bought really, really well. I'm very excited. I'm very excited about Sesco. So the answer to the question is, I think he will be a success. I don't know whether he's going to be a legend, but I'll sit here right now and I'll say this because these sort of things do get clipped, although I haven't got my best background, so people might leave me alone. But I think Sesco will consistently score between 13 and 20 Premier League goals a season. That might be more, which will make him amazing, but I don't think it will be less. I don't think he'll score less than 13 Premier League goals a season, and that makes him not a flop. It might be at some point we go, he's not prolific enough, but we need a striker. I mean, you think about the last few years, our top Premier League goal scorer was Ronaldo with 18. Which isn't terrible, but there was a time when we used to get strikers who score 20. So I think he will do well. I think he will be serviced, and I think he will do well. And I think what we've done today is essentially solved the attacking issues at Manchester United. That can be parked. And I haven't heard anybody say that yet. And I'm going to read some of your comments now. But I think today, we can just say, whether we like it or not, we've solved the attacking issues at Manchester United. And those attacking issues at the end of the season were, we weren't scoring enough goals, we were selfish, and we weren't creating enough goals. In Cunha and in Burmo, you've got people who can do both in this league. And in Sesco, you've got a really exciting striker. We haven't solved it in the sense that we've solved it because we haven't played any games yet, but we've solved it as far as you can do in a transfer window. And I think now we need to move on to other areas, of course. Right, let me grab some of your fantastic comments. I just want to, before I do that, I just want to make sure that we've got nothing else going on. Please do subscribe to the channel, by the way. We're getting very close to 340,000. So thank you very much for that. Remember, the United Stand, it's incredible at the moment. The 8 o'clock shows are my favorite. Well, not my favorites. I'm not going to say that, but the numbers are amazing. The feeling is amazing. And, you know, let's hope it's a precursor to that, really. Rasmus has liked that Sesko has joined Manchester United. Rasmus is a nice guy. If he ends up leaving, he gets all my best. If he ends up staying, I'd be really excited by it. Thing is, I spoke to Rasmus in that interview. I'm not speaking out of turn. I can't remember whether it was on the video or not, but I'm going to say it anyway because he might be leaving. I spoke to Rasmus a couple of times about this, and he always said, and I think he said it in an interview anyway, so I'm not saying anything that's going to get him in trouble. He always said over the last 2 years, and he said it to me twice, that he really wants another striker at the club because it's someone to learn with, it's someone to compete with, and it's really difficult to be playing the volume of games you've got to play every single minute. Like, you actually do need someone to share the load. So he would welcome that if he was staying. I don't know whether he will stay, but look, what I would say, the warning from that is, if Sesco comes in, he can't play every minute of every game. That there has to be a plan to take Sesco off after 70 minutes or to rotate him and put him on the bench. Now, that plan might be Obi, it might be Xerxes, but we do need to be wary of that as well. We can't be burning players out, because I think whether you like Rasmus or not, he was thrown in at the deep end and there was never a support striker. So I think that's really important. Sesco's now going to fly to Manchester tonight together with his agent. Man United want Sesko to complete medical tests and sign on Friday. This is really exciting because, before I read your comments, this is really exciting. We were talking about this on Tuesday, and I was saying that realistically, Carrington New opens tomorrow. There'll be a big fanfare about that. And then our final pre-season game is Fiorentina at 12:45 on Saturday. Now, if I'm Ruben Amorim and I'm Sir Jim Radcliffe and I'm Omar Barada, I'm like, Carrington reopens on Friday, medical, photos, and then on the pitch on Saturday, get to work on Sunday, got a week for the Arsenal game. He could start the Arsenal game now. That's all I'm bothered about. I mean, yeah, it's great that he'll be there for his medical at Carrington, the first medical at Carrington. I mean, that's great. You know, that's the sort of thing you could do a little plaque for. On the pitch on Saturday, hello to everybody. Great pictures, huge, break the internet, fantastic. But personally, all I care is that he's in that game against Arsenal a week on Sunday, which will be incredible, really, really exciting. So that, and look, he has had a pre-season. He has had a pre-season. He's played games for Leipzig. So he's not like Mbeumo, where Amorim's going to have to come out and go in his press conference next week, yeah, Sesko won't be ready for a month. He will be ready. He is fit. He's got to get up to speed with United's tactics, but he will be ready for that Arsenal game now, which is just a massive bonus, because I'll put my hands up here, and I'm happy to be wrong. I'm happy to be wrong on these things. I said on the tour, there's no way we'll have a striker for the tour, because the store, you know, when we were on tour, it's like 3 weeks to the Arsenal game, and you're like, we don't do deals in 3 weeks. And this is why I'm grateful to Newcastle, because we've pulled a deal off in a week, and we've still got over a week till the Arsenal game. It's incredible how quick this deal has happened, and it only happens because of Newcastle. But I tell you what, I never say this as well. I really never say this, but there's something coming in about his salary. He could have earned more at Newcastle, so I'll talk about that in a moment. But that is about Sesco, and this is about Sesco. We'll never well, I hope some of you do. I think it'd be great in the future that, you know, people who are watching this, you know, maybe you're 13, 14, 16, 17, you're not going to be 33. I hope some of you one day get this, you know, United Stand community, go end up playing for Man United. I hope some of you do with all my heart. But can you imagine what it's like to be Sesco now? You know, those final few hours before it's going to be here we go or bomber, you know, where you just know you're going to break the internet. I mean, you must feel like $1 million. Well, 66.6 million pounds. What a feeling it must be. Hey, you know, some of us, life's a gift, but some of us, oh God, that is what a feeling. Anyway, Pletty Goal says that to make the deal with Man United possible, Sesco has agreed to waive part of his salary. He could have earned more at Newcastle, but his agent has also given up a significant share of his commission. This was necessary to push the move to Manchester United over the line. Look, Cunha only wanted Manchester United, and Bumo only wanted Manchester United. Sesco only wanted Manchester United. People can come for us and say things like, Man United pay stupid wages, Man United pay stupid transfer fees. Yeah, we have. We gave Anthony 200 grand a week. We gave Sancho 300 grand a week. We do pay stupid wages. We do pay stupid transfer fees, but not anymore. And the cheek of some people, Newcastle fans and rival fans, saying, oh yeah, Man United are only going to get Sesco because of money. I said something and I got rinsed for this, and I don't care. I'm not bothered. But I said something a few days ago, and I said the only reason to go to Newcastle is money. They don't have the heritage, they don't have the trophies, they don't have the fan base, they don't have the name, they don't have the prospects. The only reason to go to Newcastle is money. And I got loads of people saying, clipping me up, saying, the cheek of him. What? How can he say that? The only reason to go to Newcastle is money when they're a club that pays stupid wages. Are you going to keep judging on the past? Are you going to judge on the now? Last time I checked, Newcastle were the richest club in the world. They just can't get the money in. Manchester United have got Sesco because he's taken a wage cut compared to what Newcastle offered. So I was right. The only reason to go to Newcastle was money, and it wasn't enough. So, you know, and I'm not digging Newcastle out. I would have done that. If I was Newcastle, you've got to offer something. Because you can't offer what Man United can offer. It's always going to be Man United. And I hope Newcastle can find a way to be competitive, because if Man City can, why can't they? But on this, I'm afraid, Manchester United didn't offer more money. And as has been proved. Right, I'm going to get through some of your comments now. Let me know your thoughts. Gems, our legendary mod, and big shout out to the moderators as always, because the busier it is here, the busier they are. Hopefully hearing that news shuts up the haters saying people only come to us for big wages. Get out, we're Man United. Thank you, Gems. Joe Turnbull says, I think if we can get Belieber this summer, we should get Luis on loan, then go back next summer, says Joe. Rasmus would be sold from Chelsea or Liverpool with no fuss. What's the obsession? He's not from our academy. Ruthless aggression, sell dead weight. Blake, I've got no problem with that. It's called opinion. And my opinion has always been this. In the number 10 position, you've got Xerxes, Ahmad, Bruno, Mount, Cunha, and Burmo. And that's a lot. We've also got a lot of centre-backs. Up front, we've got Sesco, Rasmus, and a 17-year-old. If we remove Rasmus, we've got Sesco and a 17-year-old, and maybe Xerxes. I just would rather, and it's pure greed, I would rather keep the squad as it is and keep adding to it and have loads of options, because I want to get fifth. I don't want to be potentially weak in any area. So if you're telling me Rasmus is going to go and we're going to bring up in somebody like, I don't know, who could we bring in as a strike, Mateta, fine. I want two strikers, basically. And at the moment, I don't feel like we've got two strikers. Maybe in a year or two, we will, because Obi will be ready. But I want two strikers. Because we will need another striker next summer if we get in the Champions League. Why I man, says James. What will the score be in the Arsenal game, says Paul? Too early. Did you see the tweet from Plettenberg about Sesco and his agent reducing wages? Exactly, Ernest. I did. Sesco to score the winner against Arsenal. I mean, that will be nice. That will be nice to have the whole Sesko, Gyökeres added drama of the opening game of the season at Old Trafford. But, you know, we don't need it, but it will be nice. Going to take off the shirt, running around your garden for Sesko, says JS. I never promised to do it for Sesko. I would do if I had, but I never promised to do it for Sesko. Currently, we're not able to get the best, but we are getting best players that we have access to. I think that's a great way of putting it, Nabil. I don't think we're getting the best we can get. Sorry, I don't think we're getting the best out there, but I think we're getting the best we can get. And we haven't always done that. So I see it as a positive. New kit's out on the 12th, says Paul. I'm very happy with the player, happy with the price, 66.3. Yes, Mark. Champers, says Stephen. Mark, you should be the new manager for Man United, says Anastasia. I think Amram's the guy. Mark, with now today being a here we go, can you do the Keegan? I will love it if we beat them, says Lollipop. I think that's for them to do. They'll be doing that now. I tell you what, they might have Sesko, they might have Mbeumo, but I'll tell you what, I will love it if we finish above them this season. Because I tell you what, we're in the Champions League. Have it. We also have a transformative front lane now. Might also motivate Hoyland to improve. Also, why are you in a cupboard, says Rob. Why have you not realised I've been doing streams from this room in the day for about 3 weeks now? Sesco is in for the unveil. I'll be back in the studio tonight. Sesco is in for the unveiling of the new facility at Carrington, the opening game for Arsenal, says Blood Red United. Ter Stegen removed as Barca captain. Maybe one to watch, says Raz. Mate, I'll take Ter Stegen. I just want to. The Belieber stuff, you know, is going to move on. And I think the goalkeeper situation needs to move now as well. Look, I was told after, it'd be interesting to see, actually. I was told, when did I mention it? Was it 2 nights ago? I was told that once Sesko was out the way, we'd go for Lamens. Obviously, we got the Belieber story last night, but it doesn't mean that Belieber's next. So let's see what happens with the goalkeeper, because I was told that that's the next priority. So be interesting to see what happens there. We've got nearly 35,000 people watching, which is incredible. Please subscribe, bottom right hand corner, share the video, but we're looking for 10,000 likes. Smash the video, smash the like. Don't smash your video. Gyökeres thrived in a league that made Darwin look like R9. Sesko more promising for me, says Jamie. I'm not going to play that game. I'm not going to play that game. Some people want to play that game. I'm not going to play the game. I've played the game and I'm not going to play that game. I think Gyökeres is fantastic. I think you can be happy with Sesko and still think Gyökeres is a good player. I don't really do that whole, we've got this, so what you've got is shit. I would happily have took Gyökeres. And I think some Arsenal fans would have happily took Sesko. So I don't think we need to set them up against each other. I mean, look, I remember when, I hope they're against each other because they're both scoring goals. Really. Graham Neve, welcome to the Members Club. Mark's gifted a membership. You're a legend, mate. Andres says yes. Mark, has Sir Jim redeemed himself, says Orcus. No. I think there's a lot to be still done, mate, to be honest with you. But we're moving in the right direction. Poor Newcastle staff outside Leipzig in case United fails, says Natty. I mean, to be honest with you, they're in Germany. Get yourself down a pub. Start the weekend early on a Thursday, you know. Vivel gets a Sesco meal deal bonus, says Emily Derry. If we only have funds for one player, Donnarumma or Belieber, says Dada. I mean, I probably would say Belieber because, as I said last night, I don't rate Onana. He ain't good enough. But I do think, I don't want to keep Onana. But if you had to keep Onana and get a midfielder, I probably would do it. Because although he'll make mistakes, we might still be able to get fifth. So 66 million is a great price, says Philip. One of the best front threes right now, says N. I don't know. Haven't seen it play. Mark, prediction with Arsenal. Arteta fatigue is real, says JB. Then I saw his face and I'm a believer, says Hyans. If you had to pick one, would you rather fill the midfield position or the goalkeeper? I've just answered that. Oscar B, thank you very much for your super chat. Don't you think the striker position for Man United is not very relevant since they're always toiling in the graveyard shift? This is a great point by B2. It's a great point, and it's one that we're going to have to resolve over the coming, games, weeks, and months. We don't create enough chances, and we're expecting to create chances because we've got people like Cunha and Mbeumo, and Dorgu looks better, and Bruno's in the team, and Ahmad hopefully will as well. I think we will create more chances now, but it's not, it's certainly something we need to keep an eye on. Here comes the hate watch because it's not Gyökeres. Just be happy we did not see any of these signings happening after the Europa League disaster, says Brodgy. Thank God it's not Jackson. I think that's something to celebrate. it's not Nicholas Jackson. I mean, there was a time where I was getting very concerned about the links. Get to Stegen out of Barcelona to force Onana out, says Inu. Christopher Vivell, well done. Next is midfield, says Lee. £66.3 million for Sesco, says Nick. With Romano saying he flies to Manchester already today and signing tomorrow, must be included in the Arsenal game. 100%, Lars. I mean, he could literally be training on Monday or Sunday. That's a whole week. And he's had a pre-season, so he'd be bench minimum. He might even start. I mean, let's not forget, Mazraoui had his first training session with Man United on the Wednesday, and I think he played on the Saturday. So, yeah, 100% he can play. If he's option D, maybe the club needs to learn how to forget the letters A, B and C, says Pengers, Shampers. Mo Salah was option B for Liverpool after Brandt, says Matthew. Get in, just don't understand how or why moving this quickly when it took us ages to get in Burmo, and now on to the next. Joseph, the reason this deal happened quickly and the Burmo deal didn't is because it was a one-horse race with Burmo and we were trying to get the price down. Because of Newcastle's high offer, we had to go near it. And once you're near it, then you get it done. We will probably do quick deals in the future where there is competition. But when there isn't competition, we probably will take ages. It really is the Newcastle factor in this. We can be quick, but only if we need to be. Get in, just done that one from Joseph. Mark, let's make a £20 charity bet on Here We Go for Belieber within a week, says Brandon. I hope so. I hope so. I hope there is that urgency to do it quickly. Are you doing a watch along for his flight to Manchester? Says no. Belieber, I might go down the pub. Belieber next, says Raz. Breaking news: Newcastle praying to all the gods it goes wrong and they sign him at the end, says Hyans. Here we fucking go, says Eric. On to Belieber. I find it fascinating that before this, I would have expected United to make panic bids, not Newcastle, says Emily Derry. Reese says, hopefully he's unveiled at Saturday's game. I've been a shithouse and taken my Liverpool sporting dad to the game for his birthday. Shampers, says Reese. You called it, Mark. Shampers, says Chris Green. These players want United. In our state, it's like a dream, says Lewis. Just need Newcastle to bid for Belieber now, says Zeno. Newcastle still in Germany waiting. Let's go, Sesco, says Giovanni. Adrian C is the MP of this transfer window, says 100%. Is that who it was who said about the private jet? Very good, Jack. PSG signed a keeper, road to Donnarumma, says Chev. I mean, if we get Donnarumma and Belieber from this point, forget about it. Forget about it. I'm honestly ecstatic, Sesco. What an attack force, Cunha and Mbermo, says William Green. Finally acting like a big club, says JMB. Well, that's what I would say. You have to be positive about what the club are doing. It's what we should be doing. This is very important. We need to come up with a better chant than I'm too sexy for Sesco for my shirt. That won't happen, Steve. You stepped out of your home again, didn't you, says Ram. No, I was in the house. Adrian C is the real baller, says Tom McBride. Let's go, Sesco, says JR. At the end of the day, we knew this deal would get done. Shampers, says Jim Radcliffe, probably, says Jack Clancy. At the end of the day, we're Man United, says JB. At the end of the day, I'll tell you what happened, right? I was sat there in Monaco and I was talking to David Beckham and Brailsford, and we were having some champers, and I bloody heard about this Newcastle bid. I thought, the bloody hell's Newcastle, At the end of the day, you've got United in your name, that's it. And I was half a bottle deep of the champers, and I just thought, what, fuck it. Give them what they want. Let's banter Newcastle. And then we all just sat there and, had loads more champers and laughed at Newcastle and Eddie Howe. I don't really know why. I don't really know why we laughed at Eddie Howe, because I think he's doing a good job at Newcastle. It's just it's just a name to laugh at. Eddie Howe, champers. If we do get Belieber in Donnarumma with no Champions League, we'd have to finish top four. No, Omar, I don't want to hear about top four. I know you're trying to be positive. But I actually think when you start talking about top four, you're just putting pressure onto Amorim. Top four would be ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. And it's not something that I would be advocating as a possibility for Manchester United, because I think it's, I still think even with Sesco, Cunha and Burmo, a midfielder and a goalkeeper, we're nowhere near Chelsea, Man City, Liverpool and Arsenal. So I would be very, very much of the opinion that if we can get a midfielder and we can get a goalkeeper, that we go for fifth. Really, that's what I would be looking at, and that's still going to be Champions League football, which is what I want to see at United. I'm sorry, I've lost the live chat here. Where is it? There we go. 35,000 people watching. We are massive. Manchester United, I mean the United Stand community is the best. There's no doubt about it. You know that. I know that. Why have I lost my live chat? Taking the piss. Here we go. Can we hear from Sir Jim again? No, he's very busy now. He's got things to do. We have hit 10,000 likes, I think, which is just incredible. This is getting on my nerves now. Stop putting up that. Why have you got here we go when Ornstein was first? Bomber doesn't really work well on a thumbnail. We've already given the credit to Ornstein. Let's be honest, he is the man. But at the end of the day, we all benefit. You know, that's how that. Shearer and that Sky reporter are crying right now, says Lollipop. Which one of you had to choose, if you had to choose goalkeeper or centre midfielder? I feel like I need to run a poll here. Because I've said my bit, but loads of people are asking this. Goalkeeper or centre midfielder if you had to choose. I don't like us doing that, by the way, because if we do that, we are almost going to the owners get both. That's what we need to do. Cheers to Barada and Sir Jim. Handled the Sesco deal very well indeed. Love to see this, says Wayne. I think cheers to Vival. If we want to thank anybody on this one, I'm afraid. You know, I think Vival's done the work on this. I mean, look, Sir Jim Radcliffe and Joel Glazer have signed it off, and Omar Barada will have been involved in that. But I think Vival's the guy that's got this done. From everybody, from what we're hearing, he's the one that's, you know, used his connections and got it done. Remember, Jurgen Klopp's part of the Red Bull group as well. So we're not thanking him. I'm just saying, you know, could have made it difficult. Which one, if you had to choose on that one? If we sign, I'll believe in the impossible top four, says Cameron. Not Sesco related because I missed the morning show. Do you have any idea as to why we don't use Nice like Chelsea do, says Ronan? Not really. What, as a feeder club? Cheers to all on the United side, stands as Ross. I love that this window we've weakened Wolves, Brentford, Newcastle, and maybe even Brighton. That is an intelligent comment, Andre. Newcastle on the tarmac trying to flag down the jet before Sesco's gone for good, says Trina. You have to wonder if the Glazers felt the weight of embarrassment from their fellow American Liverpool owners and opened their wallets, says Nick P. And Omar, done that one. Pete H, welcome to Members Club. Newcastle fans wanting Jackson now, swivel on it. Let them do what they want. I actually did a tweet yesterday saying, you know, just when you thought things couldn't get worse for Newcastle, they go for Jackson. And I got a load of abuse from Newcastle fans telling me he was really good. And I just thought, okay, you crack on. Do you like the fact we're signing Premier League proven, says Jack? I mean, Sesco's not Premier League proven, but someone like Belieber, Cunha and Burmo would. So, you know, it does help. I think you've got to have a mix. Look, Watkins would have been Premier League proven. I think we've done the right thing with Sesco, so it's not always going to be the way, but I think it does help. Here we go from South Africa. Keep up the great work, says Benjamin Davids. And Azure says, showdown of the strikers, first game of the season. Do we know why Arsenal walked away from Sesco? I don't. I really don't. And I actually think if I had the choice between Gyökeres and Sesco, I would take Gyökeres, and I've said that before. I've said it on That's Football, and I've said it on here. So I know it was close. And I know that we're getting a quality player, but I presume Arsenal went for Gyökeres because, like many of us, you probably would go for Gyökeres over Sesco. There is also the added element that he was cheaper. And I think the most important element, I was talking to Robbie about this yesterday from AFTV. He wanted Gyökeres because he felt that they need to win the league next year. So they need a striker that's experienced, whereas Sesco could be, you know, deemed as being a work in progress. So I think Arsenal made the right choice. In the long run, it might benefit us. The price difference between Gyökeres and Sesco is now 3 million, says Phrase. I don't think it is. I'm pretty sure Arsenal paid 55 for Gyökeres. But it doesn't matter. How was Delap our priority and we got Sesco, says, and it must have been about the money. You could get Dumfries for 25 million, says JSD. No, his release clause has changed now since August the 1st. For me, this is a top four attack in the Prem, says Semir, but then you look at the goalkeeper in the midfield. Nick P. Sesco to me is way more than just the best we can do, as I've heard people say, given how last season went, we have assigned a top player. What number will Sesco have? Because Diego Leon is 30, says Scott Pearson. I don't know. Mark, you're a legend. Rest in peace to Alex and all the United fans that can't be with us during these amazing times, says Al Prey. Lovely message there. Thank you very much. History and legacy cannot be bought, says Sarath. Pretend to be by Belieber and by Brighton's replacement, says Who to Blame. I'm too Sesco for my shirt, says Chris. Flight delayed until 5:15, says Adrian C. Do you think we'll go for Donnarumma, given what Ben Jacobs said, valued about 30 million euros, or do you think that's all agent fluff? I don't know. I think one thing that we've learned this transfer window is that you can be on a roller coaster. 1 minute Gyökeres is going to Arsenal, Osman's going to Galatasaray, and you're thinking, what are we going to do? The next minute, you're getting Sesko in a week. You're being linked to Belieber. I wouldn't say, I don't expect us to sign Donnarumma. I feel like we're being used. But would it surprise me? No, I just don't expect it. Sesko's a clinical striker. That's the Man United magnet. Not many clubs can do that. Do you think we are going to look at Donnarumma as well, says Mary? What did Ben Jacobs say about Donnarumma? Because I didn't see that bit. I watched the start, but I don't think I read that bit. Just having a quick look here. Chelsea have stepped up their talks with Man United over a move for Garnacho. The clubs have been in touch for some time, but talks have now advanced. Garnacho expects to move to Stamford Bridge. That's from David Ornstein, but to be fair, Ben Jacobs did put that out a couple of hours ago as well. So that's good news as well. Very pleased about that. Let me just double check this here. I'm just catching up here on what's going on. We're back at 8 o'clock tonight. I mean, if we can get 30,000 again, it would be incredible. The 8 o'clock shows are always brilliant. Back in the studio for that. Yes, I was watching Ben Jacobs earlier because he was saying about how, Terry was saying how he mentioned Sesko in the middle of June. He mentioned Belieber at the start of last week, both on the United stand. He mentioned Mbeumo before Mbeumo broke on the United stand in May. He's had a really good summer and he's very humble. And he did mention Garnacho and Chelsea at lunchtime. So David Ornstein verifying that as well. So look, he's having a really good summer, Ben, and I'm very pleased for him because he's a really nice guy. But breaking, Chelsea have opened talks for Garnacho with Manchester United winger on a move. That was 3 hours ago. And it's just been confirmed by David Ornstein in the last few minutes as well. So another cracker from Ben Jacobs, verified by the Don. Ornstein, Donstein, doesn't really work. Chelsea have stepped up, done that one. Garnacho. I mean, just on Garnacho, by the way, I would like that one to move quickly because there is still quite a considerable time left in this transfer window. So you would expect that to maybe go a little bit later. But no, I'd be very, very happy with that if it moves quicker. Let me just have a look. Right, I'm going to end in a minute because I'm too sexy for my shirt. Why is that in my head? Oh, it's the Sesco thing. Yeah, I'm going to end in a minute. But, it's done it again. It's done it again. Stop bloody doing that. There will be no excuses this season. I despise Garnacho now. Don't know if you agree, says Jack. He will be an enemy if he goes to Chelsea in a footballing sense. If we're going to spend 80 million, why not Gyökeres, says Devon. He's signed for Arsenal. Brighton, Bournemouth, Brentford and others have key players they need to replace. We should be looking into their replacements as Who to Blame. The growth and depth of this team will gain from not playing in Europe will help our new signings more rest between games. I'm excited, says that guy Beto. Viewing from Canada, says Michael. Read the chat, Mark, says Michael K. Did you see Scooby-Doo got nominated for the Ballon d'Or? Yes, I did. Another Ornstein bomber with Garnacho, says Joe Wright. The competitiveness in the market feels like it's heading towards the NFL in a way, says Sid. Bomber, Baliba looks difficult. Oh, God, I'm going to end this stream. It's getting on my bloody tits now. Sorry about this. Not you lot. It's just playing up big time. Oh, what the hell? I shouldn't have moved off. I shouldn't have gone off. It's not done this for a long time. Pause. Oh, 66% of you would go with a centre midfielder over a goalkeeper. Ben Jacobs has won the transfer window, in my opinion, said Daniel. Yeah, well, in fairness, and I love David Ornstein, he is not going to get to claim that Garnacho story because it was actually Ben Jacobs 3 hours ago. If we're being completely honest, he tagged Indy Kayla in. He should be tagging Ben Jacobs in that, Ornstein. That's 3 hours late. And it was Ben Jacobs' story. Tweet from Ornstein about Garnacho, says Gabrielle. Garnacho update, says Maxud. Bruno always attempts the final pass rather than bringing others into play. Hence, we are likely to struggle in playing good football, says Anil. Well, we'll wait for all this. So excited from Australia, says Italian man. Lille have significant Belieber sell-on. It could be a problem, says Matthew H. Do you think the Euro deal was an early sign that we know how to win genuine transfer battles again, says Kumar? I hope so. Orny, Onana isn't going to leave, so we need to make the midfield stronger so he faces less shots and makes less mistakes, says Mason. Good point. Fair play. Okay, I'm going to get off now. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We're back at 8 o'clock unless we get a here we go. No, we won't get another here we go. Let's see what happens next. Will we focus in on the midfield or will we go for the goalkeeper like I was told? Interesting. I mean, Belieber's going to be a hard deal anyway. It's not going to happen quickly, I don't think. So hopefully, whilst we're working on Belieber, we go for a goalkeeper as well. Legends, what a show. 10,000 likes. I hope you've subscribed. We're back at 8 o'clock. What a big day for United. Let's go, Sesco. I'll speak to you all in a bit.